Once a year, every year, we give the best deal of the year happening right now. Daily Wire Plus memberships, 50% off. Now, Daily Wire Plus members get more than ever. New series, documentaries, movies. That includes our long-awaited 7-part cinematic series, The Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, premieres January 22nd. For All Access members, the legend begins early with exclusive access to episodes 1 and 2, Christmas Day. This is our best deal of the year. Do not miss it. Go to dailywire.com/subscribe. Save 50% now. Pope Leo has been under a lot of fire. The Holy Father has been hit from the political right because they say, oh, he's a big lib, just like his predecessor, Pope Francis. And, basically the attacks on Leo, political attacks from the right, have kicked up almost with the same vitriol that you had against Pope Francis, who in some ways did make a lot of statements and choices that were puzzling, that did seem kind of liberal. In some ways, even that was overstated because he also, for instance, said that gay marriage is a machination of the father of lies that seeks to deceive and confuse the children of God. And he compared abortion to hiring a hitman. And he said that God can't bless sin when it comes to so-called same-sex marriage. And he said that transgenderism is fake and all the rest of it. But anyway, I grant Pope Francis did have a considerable amount of liberalism to his pontificate. Pope Leo is just being hammered from the right, and I feel largely unfairly, because he showed up to some pre-planned, global warming event and blessed a block of ice. Priests bless water, by the way. Pope Leo was just asked, can you clarify your opinion? As the American bishops have been hammering the Trump administration over the immigration and deportation policy, can you clarify? Do you want open borders? You want mass migration? What is the Holy Father's position? Here's what he had to say.
The U.S. bishops have made a very strong statement about the deportation and detention of migrants. What do you think of it? And they kind of said that you've got their back. Were you behind that?
Well, I've made some statements about that already. I appreciate very much what the bishops have said. I think it's a very important statement. I would invite, especially all Catholics, but people of goodwill, to listen carefully to what they said. I think we have to look for ways of treating people humanely, treating people with the dignity that they have. If people are in the United States illegally, there are ways to treat that. There are courts. There's a system of justice. I think there are a lot of problems in the system. No one has said that the United States should have open borders. I think every country has a right to determine who and how and when people enter. But when people are living good lives, and many of them for 10, 15, 20 years, to treat them in a way that is extremely disrespectful, to say the least, and there's been some violence, unfortunately. I think that the bishops have been very clear in what they said, and I think that I would just invite all people in the United States to listen to them. Thank you.
What did he say? Let's just, for people who didn't quite hear what he said or don't want to hear what he said, he said, no one is suggesting the United States should have open borders. Every country has the right to determine who comes in and when and how they do it. And for people who have been here even people who have been here for a long time, they should be treated respectfully and humanely. But there are courts and systems of justice that will determine what happens to those people. And what are the courts determining? Whether they stay or whether they go. The Pope, who we're told is for open borders and mass migration and no deportations, the Pope just came out and said, no one wants the United States, no one suggests, plenty of people on the left have suggested, but he's I think implying no reasonable person suggests that the U.S. should have open borders. Every country has the right to determine who comes in, when they come in, how they come in. And the U.S. has a system, like due process, to take people who are going to be deported and put them through it. And all he says is, there shouldn't be too much disrespect, inhumanity, violence, because these videos going around of the deportations, a lot of them AI, by the way, going around Facebook that like your boomer aunt is sharing, but it's not, they aren't real, they're made up. All of these things, he says, that's it. Enforce immigration law, but be decent about it. Does anyone disagree? I'm generally speaking, I'm a son of the church. I defer in obedience to the Holy Father. I'm not slavishly, in every single matter. I don't think the Pope is infallible in most matters, obviously. But I try to be respectful. And Pope respecters, Pope, obedient sons of the church, totally vindicated here. Totally vindicated the people who have a spirit of rebellion, who have a reviling spirit, who have, frankly, I would say a liberal spirit in and out of the church, who just, their knee-jerk reaction is to just whine and complain about the Pope. Totally knocked out here, huh? Totally not. This is good stuff. This is great. The Leo posting will continue until the understanding improves. This is good stuff. Now, speaking of Christianity, a very prominent, kind of right-wing, trans-identifying YouTuber is apparently converting to Christianity. But there's a big problem right now in his understanding. Maybe more than one. We'll get to it, though. Right now, go to hallow.com/Knowles. Believe it or not, Christmas season is right around the corner. As much as we might like to avoid the chaos, the shopping, the wrapping paper, the half-packed suitcases by the door, we cannot. The best thing we can do is lean into the season, but do it right to rediscover peace and purpose in the midst of all the noise. Often, Advent becomes a mere checklist. Gifts, travel plans, dinners, decorations. It's worth asking, why do we have so much to do? What is all of this for? That is one of the many things I'm excited about over at Hallow. This Advent, Hallow is leading a powerful challenge called Pray 25, Be Still. It's an invitation to step out of the modern frenzy and enter into the real story of Christmas, one that was anything but calm or comfortable. Think about this. A young mother whose life had just been upended, a good man mocked and misunderstood, and a tyrant seeking to kill their child. Yet, they found peace in the midst of it all. Throughout Hallow's Pray 25 Advent Challenge, you will meditate on Psalm 46, Be still and know that I am God. Join Jonathan Rumi, Chris Pratt, Sister Miriam James, Gwen Stefani, and more this season. You will hear excerpts from The Read of God, an incredible book by a remarkable woman, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. It is a way to experience the Nativity not just as a sentimental scene, but as a moment of profound stillness and divine order in a broken world. Right now, center your days on prayer, on silence, on the peace that only Christ can bring. Get 3 months free of Hallow right now, hallow.com/Knowles. Get 3 months free of the #1 prayer app. My favorite comment yesterday, Lost in the West, says, every day my favorite podcasters tell me about the horrible things happening across the globe. And then these very smart and accomplished people ask, why are people choosing not to have children? No, actually, I'm not asking that. I told you why people are not having children. The chief predictor of having children or not having children is religiosity. It's not material resources. That's part of it. I get, sure, but it's not really. Programs to improve people's material conditions do not, by and large, improve birth rates. We can try them. I'm kind of for a spaghetti at the wall approach, but it doesn't really work. The notion that if you just make IVF a lot cheaper, IVF, which is an immoral practice, but even put that aside for a second. If you just make IVF a lot cheaper, all sorts of fertility treatments, that will improve birth rates, not really borne out in the data. Getting people to get married might have some effect, but that's tied in with the ultimate question. The only thing that reliably predicts people having children is religiosity. And what predicts people not having children is irreligion. And this is to your point when you say, well, terrible things are happening in the world. That's what, no, if you have a religious sense, you know that terrible things always happen in the world. You know that. And so it doesn't deter you. If you're a secularist, a materialist, an atheist, then bad things happening can discourage you and lead you to despair. Yeah, certainly. But it's why it all ties in. We're not confused. It's the lack of religion, which is why the government needs to promote religion as an existential matter for the political order. Okay, speaking of Christianity, Blaire White. You remember Blaire White? Blaire is a guy, but he sort of identifies as a girl, even though he admits he's not really a woman. But he did the procedure, he did the surgery, so he looks more like a woman. He's one of the more persuasive transitions that there is. But he's a guy, and he admits that he's a guy. He now is saying he's converted to Christianity. But he's not ready to detransition. Here's why.
Do you ever consider detransitioning so you can be as God intended you to be? So that's an excellent question, and I'm glad you made it because I would have maybe forgot to talk about that. There are people, obviously, when you look at like people who are ex-gay Christians, who the way that they feel compelled to go forward when they find God or meet God is they're living a lifestyle like they're not gay anymore. They used to be gay and they're not. They're refraining from being gay. I've seen a couple of detransitioners who found God and that helped them in that, and then they, detransitioned and all of that. And so all of that is valid. If that's how you feel, called, or what you're supposed to do, or that's your life, right? But this is mine. And I have not felt any calling or compulsion to detransition or radically change how I look or any of that, because I realized that, again, to me, the story of Jesus is that he transcended flesh. And what is all of this if not just how I've altered my flesh? It's just external, it's superficial. And if it's about being a man as God intended, y'all know I am the last person to ever deny that that is the way I was born, that I am still male, that I am still, by definition, a man. I don't care.
Yeah, I really like Blair. I'm glad to see. I think he's pointed in the right direction. I think he's asking the right questions. I think he wants to go down the right path. There's a key error, a key stumbling block that he just expressed in that video. Go to goodranchers.com, use code Knowles, Knowles. I adore Good Ranchers. As you know, Good Ranchers is essential to my routine. 100% American meat from local farms and ranches delivered straight to your door. It's flexible. You can pause or delay boxes anytime. Really helpful for holiday travel. It's just the best. There are a lot of selling points for Good Ranchers. It's American. It doesn't have weird additives and stuff like that. It's from a company that is aligned with what you believe in. It helps you get around all the grocery stores that have misleading labels and things on it. It's all great. For me, the make or break is the quality of the meat. Good Ranchers meat is better than any meat you're going to get. The steak, especially the New York strip and the ribeye, outrageous. The burgers, the best burgers you've ever had in your entire life. It's all just so good. That's it for me. I would probably buy my meat from communists if communists make good meat, but they don't. And Good Ranchers makes the best meat. All new subscribers to any Good Ranchers box using code Knowles, KNWLES, will get an additional $100 off your first 3 orders, $40 off your first, $30 off your second, $30 off your third, and free meat for life when you subscribe. Hit up goodranchers.com this holiday season. Make it full of delicious meals. Use code Knowles, KNWLES. Goodranchers.com. Let's get back to the tape. A key stumbling block that he just expressed in that video. He said, to me, the entire story of Jesus is how he transcended flesh. But of course, the opposite is true. The entire story of Jesus is the story of the cosmos because he's the divine logic of the universe. But the entire gospel story, the pivot on which history turns, is that Jesus became flesh. Et incarnatus est, de Spiritu Sancto, ex Maria Virginae et homo factus est. That's the whole thing. When we read in the Mass, the last gospel, the Gospel of John, is the first lines of John, among the first lines of John. And the Word became flesh. That's the story, the incarnation, the central fact of history. And then the Word made flesh, who takes on full human nature, is crucified and conquers death on the cross and is resurrected on the third day and ascends bodily into heaven. The flesh is so important that the early Christian writer Tertullian says that the flesh is the hinge of salvation. That's the key. So Blair is saying, well, I believe in God. I'm persuaded by Christianity. I'm persuaded by this person of Jesus. I want to follow Jesus. But this is totally understandable. He's still caught up, and he's obviously especially caught up in the ideologies that dominate in our age, these confusing kind of Gnostic heresies. And that pertains to Christianity too, in as much as shortly after Christianity, after the Advent and the Incarnation and the Crucifixion and the Resurrection, there are these Gnostic cults that crop up that say, no, actually, the flesh doesn't really matter. No, actually, ignore what Jesus actually said and did. No, it's look, Christ, he's just like another version of the same pagan cults that we've all had for all of history, and the flesh doesn't matter, and it's all, we transcend the flesh and whatever, man. No. Christianity is irreducibly historical. Christianity is irreducibly physical in that God himself is embodied. And the faith that the church that he leaves to us is physical. And he picks real men, the apostles, and they pick real successors. And he institutes real sacraments. And he said, the flesh of the Son of Man is real food. And if you don't eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. It's the flesh. It's the flesh. That's the key. So anyway, I don't say any of this to own Blaire White with facts and logic. Written far from it. Totally the opposite. I'm so delighted to see that he is on this path. And I think if he can get over that hump, that obstacle that has been placed in his way by our extremely Gnostic, POMO kind of culture, and see, no, actually the opposite is true in Christianity, I think that will help him to at least begin to make sense of one of the big obstacles in his life. That was a great clip. Now stop, ring the bell, subscribe. We'll see you next time.